Hello, seventh grade. We are ready for a new unit today, Unit 3, Lesson 1. Okay. We are going to be analyzing a model podcast today. But before we can do that, let's go ahead and look at our entrance ticket for today. So, a podcast is an audio recording that can be downloaded from the internet, usually consisting of a short talk or program on a particular topic. I want you guys to go ahead, pause the video, spend a little bit of time answering these questions. When you're done, share out as a class, have a little discussion about it, and then come back to me and we will move forward. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So you had a couple questions to answer. The first one said, for what different reasons do you think people make podcasts? Now, you guys might have had different answers. You might have said something like to communicate information, to entertain, to convince people to believe or do something. Again, you guys might have had some different answers. Number 2 says, for what different reasons do people listen to podcasts? You guys might have said something like to learn information, to be entertained, to listen about a topic that they're very interested in. Again, all of those are correct answers. Our learning target for today's lesson is I can explore a podcast model and generate ideas for my own podcast. Let's go ahead and look at the performance task. So your performance task is to create a podcast. So here's what it has to consist of. I'm going to ask that your teacher pause the video here and you guys go through this together, have some discussion about it, what this might look like, what this might sound like, and then come back to me and we'll move forward. All right, guys, so now we're going to move into the meaty section of our lesson today, which is actually analyzing a podcast. So you guys are going to submit your work on Google Classroom again via Miss Mitchell's announcement. She wanted to make sure you guys knew that. So you might see this in your workbook and you can certainly use it for reference. I would do that if I were you. I'm going to pull up this as well on my second screen. All right, guys. So we are going to explore a podcast right now. So before we do that, let's have a little bit of think, pair, share, talk. What do you think will be the main topic of this podcast and what makes you think so? I'm trying to find the actual. Okay, so your teacher should have the podcast. Hopefully, Miss Mitchell shared that with them. So you're going to listen to the podcast. You're going to take notes on the podcast features here, okay, or in Google Classroom if this is available for you in Google Classroom. And then once you're done, I'm going to have some questions posted that I want you guys to go through together. But first, let's listen to the podcast and let's fill in this note catcher. You can do this one of two ways. Your teacher might want to allow you to do this in partners, and that's certainly fine, or they might instruct you to do this independently, and that's fine as well. It's completely up to your teacher. So go ahead and pause the video. You guys are going to listen to the podcast and then come back to me when you're ready to move forward. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like for you guys to use these two questions to think, pair, share. What do you think will be? Oh, we already did this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Scratch that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let's go on down to our closing and assessment for today. If you guys did not have time to go over this, please do so. Share your ideas out loud. Talk to your table partners. But if you're ready to move forward, let's go ahead and look again at a discussion norms anchor chart. So we're getting ready to brainstorm some topic and research questions. So we want to keep these things in mind as we do a little mini discussion, okay? So I'm just going to ask that you read through these really quickly. All right, guys, in looking at these medical and social epidemics, I want you to choose maybe one or two and write them down that interest you. Okay, maybe choose one from each, medical, social. In just a second, I'm going to ask you guys to do a little bit of coming up with research questions. Okay. So pause here, write down one or two of these that really interest you. All right, guys, looking at these questions, right? I want you to think about your epidemics that you just wrote down, whether it's medical or social. And I want you to write down a few research questions that come to your mind. So let's say I chose selfies. My first question might be, how did the selfie start? Who started it? When did it start? How long has it been around? Okay. In writing some questions, we want to keep them not too narrow or not too broad, specific to the topic. Make sure they feel important to you and that they would be important to others. Okay. And make sure that the question is answerable using sources. Here is your exit ticket for today. So I want you to take all the brainstorming you did and put it into this exit ticket, which you are going to submit on Google Classroom. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, and I'll see you guys again very soon with lesson 2.